Hey everyone, this is HypoOwl and welcome back to more Let's Play LostWinds. In the last episode, we discovered Enroll the Wind Spirit as well as a little bit of the history of Mistralis, and in this episode we'll be continuing our adventure, so let's see what this lady has to say. I was just on my way to Wither Falls, but it seems the bridge here has fallen through. You should probably turn back, there's no way anyone could jump across that gap. So if you remember, this is actually the gap at the very beginning of the game that we fell through. Well, now that we have the power of Gus and the Wind Spirit at our side, we can actually do just that. Oh, that was amazing! How did you do that? Like I said, with the power of Gus. But anyway, another little tip that I want to share with you is that on our way back here, Enroll will actually stop you and tell you that you can actually press minus on the Wii remote to get any tips on where you need to go, so let's do that. Now Taya says there was a shrine to the west of Wither Falls. We should try to find it. Now I always love when games do that because because sometimes I have the memory comparable to a goldfish at times, but you know, I especially find that useful for games like RPGs where I haven't played for like months on end, and you know, I jump right back in wondering where the heck do I go. So that's a little useful thing if you wanna figure out where you need to go. So I didn't mention this last episode, but if you want to purchase this game for yourself, it's available on WiiWare for $10, which is a bit pricey considering this game can be beaten in about an hour and a half or so, which I know because I've done it. But that shouldn't stop you because this game is actually pretty fun for what it is, and so it's funny how I even came across this game in particular, because I had actually learned about this game through its sequel, LostWinds Winter of the Melodias, which there was some gameplay footage of it back in Nintendo's 2009 E3 show, I want to say. Either 2009 or 2010. The game itself, I believe, came out in 2009, so I guess it was that show. So I thought that game looked pretty cool, and I thought I was going to go and get it, but I actually forgotten to go do that, and I actually forgot it for about a while up until recently, when I was just browsing WiiWare for no good reason. I was just looking to see what games were on there, and I came across Winter of the Melodias, but I saw that there was actually a prequel to this game, which was just this game, and so I ended up purchasing it, and I've still yet to actually play the sequel to this game, but I might actually do that. I might even LP that someday, depending on how good the game is. So another interesting thing is that there is actually this game is actually also available for iPads. This is actually on the iOS store for the same price, which is pretty interesting, you know. I mean, I myself don't have an iPad, but if you want to buy it on there, let me know how it is, because I have no idea how it would play on a tablet, which I'm kind of I'm not so much against it, I'm just a little hesitant because, you know, I'm not super used to tablet gaming. I mean, I don't really play a ton. I mean, I have a few games on like my phone or my tablet, but I don't really play them much, you know. It's even funny that I even have my tablet because originally my mom had bought it so I could just use it for school, so I didn't have to buy as many textbooks. I could just have that one and just not have to worry about carrying so many textbooks, but it didn't work out, so instead I just use it mostly for watching YouTube of all things. So I thought that was pretty funny. But so let's go through here, and we have another one of these shrines, so let's step on the switch and use the gust on this fan here. Congratulations, you now have the power of Slipstream. To create a slipstream, hold B and draw a slipstream path, then release B to activate the slipstream. Draw slipstream lines across fire or water to use that element on other items. So now that we have this new ability, now one little tip that I want to say is that anytime you come across one of these chambers, what you want to do is immediately head to your left or right, depending on which side you enter the chamber, because more than often than not, there's actually going to be a Melody idol nearby. So this is a good chance to use our slipstream powers. So, like it said, we can use slipstream on elements such as fire or water, so we can do that. So don't worry about this, because this soil may very well be saturated in water. So what we can do is, even if we burn this plant, we can actually immediately plant it back into the ground, and it'll immediately sprout one of these propeller plants. So what we can do now is take this propeller plant and use this to get up here, because this is where our idol is going to be. So be very mindful on your slipstream strokes, because if you use more than 3 on them, you can actually destroy the plant. You can also, if you're getting to where you need to be, you can also hold down Z to get it to fall off the plant. Now another thing about this game that I kind of wanted to discuss, which is kind of like, it's kind of been on my mind for a while, is about its length, which has actually gotten some mixed reviews, this game, because of this length. But I've kind of been struggling to figure out, where do we draw the line on length in a game, which is kind of a good discussion. But I was just wondering, because this game, like I said, can be beaten in under an hour and a half, but I feel like it does a good job of tying up all its loose ends that you want to see. It answers any questions that you want to see. Now granted, it does have a sequel, but still, I feel like, yeah, it's a bit pricey, yeah, it's kind of short, but I feel like it does a good job of, despite its simplicity, it does a good job of like getting its story elements out the way, which I've always felt that way. If the game could tell you its story and plot in a way that leaves you feeling satisfied, even if it's just short, even though the story isn't that long, then like, what's the deal? I mean, nobody criticizes a short story for its length, because obviously it's a short story. It's called that. By the way, if you see any torches like this that are smoking here, then what you want to do is just gust on the torch there, and then it'll light the fire. But anyway, yeah, nobody criticizes a short story just for its length, because it's a short story, and there are actually even some pretty praiseworthy short stories, and that's kind of how I feel about short games. Even though, you know, it doesn't really matter to me the length, but I'm more concerned about, is it a good game or is it not a good game, you know? Like, a good game like this, you know, like, this is a good game, even though it's like super short, whereas a game like the Rambo game that came out last year, pretty terrible, also pretty short, which, that game, I still can't wrap my mind around the fact that that was a $40 game that can be beaten in around 2 to 4 hours, which that's pretty surprising to me. But another thing about this game is that its difficulty, which I feel that's another thing similar to things like length, which I've kind of struggled with. Which I would say a game like this, or like, let's say a game like Kirby's Epic Yarn, where yeah, it's easy, but the game just looks, even though I haven't played it myself, it still looks pretty fun to me. Whereas a game like Yoshi's New Island, yeah, it's pretty easy, but the game is just like, okay, it feels like it doesn't even feel like I'm playing, it just looks like I'm just like passing through. It doesn't even, like, it's not like super fun or anything. I just feel like I'm just like floating, if you get what I'm getting at. But yeah, that's just, yeah, I know, spoken like a true casual, right? But let's just go down here, and there should be a torch there, so we can just flame this up here if we can aim right. So let's just try and aim for the torch and do that. And let's get up here. Now, if you couldn't guess by now, the Glorbs are actually the only enemy in this game, but they just come in different variants, like that leaf enemy that we've just burned there. But another way to defeat them is just slam them down with the gust. But the fire is also pretty helpful, obviously, because it's leaves, even though we've come across plants that if you burn them, they turn right back into seeds, which they must have like the most fire retardant shell imaginable. So if we go up here, we actually want to go up here real quick, and the thing's just floating on the thing for just a minute. So let's go up here if we can. And once again, we have another one of these smoking torches. That idol we can't get till much later, but speaking of idols, there's actually one that we want to get right now. So we take this propeller plant. Also, if you see any propeller plants that are lying around, then chances are there's going to be a Melodia idol somewhere nearby. So let's take this plant over here, press Z, and there's going to be another idol. Now, if we don't get it now, then we won't be able to get it until towards the end of the game. So I'm just getting this out the way. So for now, I'm just going to cut ahead to the village, and I will see you in a little bit. So we want to come back here and talk to Notea, but as you can clearly see, he is not here. But although it's not lost, we can actually come over here to the right side and come across another propeller plant here, and zoom on over to the right and up, and there is another idol. So let's get down here and get it. But what we actually want to do is come over here to the far right screen. Now, I just want to apologize in advance if my voice isn't, isn't like super entertaining for now. I don't know what it is about this game. It always just puts me in such a relaxing mood that sometimes I just like drift into kind of like this zen phase. I don't know if that's good for LPing or not. Maybe you can put this playlist on if you're having trouble sleeping. Maybe play this game for yourself if you're having trouble sleeping or whatnot. But I don't know. I feel like other people have done it. Like I've known some people to like be a little more soft-spoken during some projects to kind of call for it, which I think is a cool little device for doing projects like this. But what we want to do is actually come to the very bottom of this village area and come over here to the right. And there's Notea. Let's see what he has to say. There you are. This is most exciting indeed. I believe I've made a new discovery. Look here. The symbol on this door is unique, however I can't seem to figure out how to open it. There is also some kind of clue written on it. It says, "When light above burns bright, the path ahead shall be revealed." I wonder what that means. Well, now that we have the power of Slipstream, let us light the path ahead and burn this other torch. Of course, how clever! Why didn't I think of that? Well, Notea, we really don't think any less of you, even though, we all have our moments like that. So let us explore this cave a little bit while defeating all these globes. Also, another neat little tip is that if you sling Toku on the ground diagonally, then he will actually run much faster. It's great if you ever decide to speedrun this game. Also, another idol down here. Also, be very careful around these rocks, because if you manage to hit Toku with one of them while you're gusting it, then it will actually do damage to him. But what we want to do is actually bring this rock here to open the switch. Just look at this place, it's amazing. My goodness, is that Dio? Remarkable, quite remarkable. It says this place is called the Chamber of Memories. Why would someone hide away in a place like this deep underground? Whatever memories they are, they must be important. Let's look around, Toku. Maybe we can find out what this place is. It's also very remarkable how Notea got down here as fast as we did, even though we didn't see him. So before we light these torches, there's actually, again, another Melodia idol down here. It's already episode 2, and we already have 1/4 of all the idols in the game, so let's make this triangle formation. Wow, I wonder what's inside that chest. Well, we could find out right now. How curious. I remember it all. It makes sense again. Let's find Dio. Maybe he can explain what's going on. And we'll find Dio in the next episode, so I'd like to thank you all for watching. This has been Hypo Allo, and until next time, I will see y'all later.